Hey,
Okay, well, well, first on the screen, I'll go first.
go.
Chapter 4, The New You. This covenant is the fulfillment of the agreement between you and God. The agreement is for you to be the new. As you are new, so too is God, for you are one, if not the same. As you are new, so too is the world, for you are one, if not the same. As you are new, so are your brothers and sisters, for they, too, are one, if not the same. While not the same, you also are not different. The differences you saw during the time of learning, differences that made you feel as if each being stood separate and alone, you are now called to see no more. In unity, you are whole and inseparable. One living organism now raised above the level of the organism as you become aware of unity of form. It is time now for this idea to be accepted, for if it is not, you will remain in the prison you have created. Anthony, would you like to read? Just read 2 or 3 paragraphs, whatever you feel like.
Okay. Prison is an excellent example of the system you created with your faulty perception. As with all systems, it reflects an inward state and shows you what becomes of all those who see not what it means to be neither different nor the same, but to be one. For the moment, disregard any idea you may have of there being those who deserve the prison system you have developed, and any arguments you would cite about the heinous crimes of some. Think instead of prison simply becoming a way of life for those who are incarcerated there. Each of you has had an imprisoned personal self. Each of you who have entered Christ consciousness has had the cell door and the prison gate thrown open and a new world offered. If you do not accept this opportunity, you remain incarcerated in a system that tells you when you will awaken, how you will spend your day, and when you will retire. You remain at the mercy of those who are incarcerated along with you. You remain at the mercy of those who would have power over you, and you remain subject to the laws of man.
Okay, thanks, Anthea. Kath, do you want to read tonight? You're on mute.
I tell you truthfully that until you are living as who you are and are doing what you love, you are in prison.
I would read it again.
I tell you truthfully that until you are living as who you are and are doing what you love, you are in prison.
Mm.
This prison is as much of your own making as are the actual prison systems that developed when shape and form was given to what you fear and what you believe will protect you. Just as an actual prisoner, when released from prison, must adjust to a life in which his or her actions are no longer restricted artificially, you must adjust to your new freedom. Your life has been artificially restricted by the prison you have created of it, and the actual prison system merely mirrors this restriction on a grand scale for all to see and look upon with dread. For most, the prison system is a very successful deterrent. The thought of time in prison fills the mind with fear, and yet those who are imprisoned often become so acclimated to prison life that life on the outside is no longer seen as desirable. How can this be? A life of artificial structure is all any of you have known. An internally structured life will quickly replace the life of the inmate, if you will but let it do so. Even those who actually are incarcerated in the prison system you have made are free to follow an internally structured life to a greater event than many of those who call themselves free.
Mm-hmm.
Stop there.
Mm-hmm.
You say Ruben?
Yep. Cool.
Me?
Ruben.
Your prison was created by the separate thoughts of the separate thought system. System, as you may recall, are the result of your attempts to externalize the patterns contained within. Patterns are both of learning and of design. Let's look at each of these terms separately so that we see the nature of existence in the same way and speak the same language while discussing it. Let us begin by coming to agreement about the idea of divine design. This divine design could also be called creation. And where we have spoken of creation previously, divine design was also spoken of. Here, I am quite confident that you have either seen and learned enough during your time as a learning being that you accept that a divine design created the universe and all that is in it, or that you trust enough in the wisdom of your heart that you know that it is so. Either way, you may still believe in a divine design without accepting that a divine design exists and that you are part of it. Remember that our goal here is to deny the old and accept the new. In this case, the old you will deny is the idea of a purposeless existence, a universe with no divine order, a life in which you are at the mercy of fate. The new idea you're asked to accept is that exists is purposeful, that the universe exists in divine order, and that your life is part of the divine design and complete.
Cole, you're next. It's 4.12. Alison.
Okay. Divine patterns are the patterns that make your existence in form possible, as well as the patterns that have made your return to your true identity possible. These patterns are both external and internal. External divine patterns include the observable forms that make up your world. Everything from the planet on which you exist to the stars in the sky, from the body you seem to inhabit to the animal and plant life that exists around you, from the daintiest intricately laced snowflake to the stem of a plant, that the works of the human brain and divine pattern is evident and should not be beyond your belief. Despite the differences in what you see, think, and feel, there is but one external divine pattern that created the observable world, and only one internal divine pattern that created internal world. The internal divine pattern was that of learning. The two patterns, the internal and the external, were created together to exist in a complementary fashion. Both of these divine patterns are being newly created, and we'll talk much more of them and of the creative time we are now entering. Thus far, we are merely working together to create a pattern of acceptance to replace the pattern of learning. Done.
Samuel.
Systems of thought are both divinely inspired and products of the separate self. The idea of giving and receiving as one might be thought of as a divinely inspired system of thought. In such a way of thinking, one would take the internal thought pattern, enhance it with the external pattern by seeing the unity and cooperation of all, understand and live according to the system of thought of giving and receiving being one. Systems of thought are thus the foundation upon which how you live arises. The truth is a system of thought. It exists in wholeness and has always been available. Systems of thought that arose from the separate self are those you have accepted as the truth. Some of these systems of thought were part of the divine pardon. Contrast is one such system. As a learning being, you accepted that you learned through contrast, knowing that contrast was provided for your learning. It was upon the foundation of this and other thought systems that your perception developed. Through contrast, you identified and classified the world around you based upon the differences or contrast that you saw. And then
Thanks, Kim.
Oh, I won't read today. I'm all croaky. Sorry.
Okay. Alison.
Oh, okay. Where are we up to?
4.36.
4.16.
Oh, 16, isn't it?
Oh, 16.
Excuse me. Bit distracted, sorry. Other systems of thought were not part of the divine pattern. The ego is one such system. It may seem peculiar to think of the ego as a system, and we have therefore referred to both the ego and to the ego's thought system. But the ego is quite rightly seen as a system in and of itself. It is thought it is thought externalized and given an identity you but falsely believed to be yourself. From this one externalized thought pattern came most of your false ideas. Ideas that made it difficult even for the divinely inspired thought systems to provide the learning they were designed to impart. Such is the case with the system of learning through contrast, since when the ego entered with its false ideas and judgment, contrast did not always provide the lessons it was meant to provide. In addition, believing the ego had become an externalized self took you, the true self and the true learner, out of the learning loop. Excuse me. Oh, golly. Obviously, these systems, built as they were upon patterns now being recreated, are part of the old. Externalized patterns or systems were also built from the systems of thought that have been your foundation, the basic building blocks of what you have seen as reality. As such, these systems too are obviously of the old.
Thanks, Alison. Annie?
Okay, 4.17. Externalized patterns or systems were also built from the systems of thought that have been your foundation, the basic building blocks of what you have seen as reality. As such, these systems too are obviously of the old. Just as obviously, all we are left with is divine design. All we are left with is what was given, a divine universe, a divine existence. That divine universe, our divine existence, is now recreating the patterns that served the time of learning. What was learned in that instant in which you came to know yourself is all that learning was for. Let us not dwell any longer on why this has taken so long or on the suffering that occurred during the time of learning. This would be like dwelling on the inmate's life as an inmate once he has been freed. Let us simply create a new structure around the new pattern of acceptance, a structure that will provide you with the home on earth you have so long sought and used your faulty systems to but attempt to replicate. I speak of structure here not as a thing, but as a building in which to dwell, or as a set of rules or instructions to follow in order to build.
Not as a building not as a building in which to dwell.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, on the next part, I was kind of wondering. Okay, I'll start that again. Thank you. I speak of structure here not as a thing, not as a building in which to dwell, or as a set of rules or instructions to follow in order to build the new, but as structure that will provide you with parameters in which to begin to experience your new freedom. It is your questions and concerns that have led me to speak of such, for it is you who have felt such as this is needed. The unlimited freedom offered you is too vast for your comfort. Thus, without limiting this freedom at all, let us simply speak of a place and a way to begin to experience it, and of a place and a way to begin to create the new. This place and this way begins at the prison doors, begins, as we said earlier, with acceptance of the new and denial of the old. Turn your back on the prison of your former existence and do not look at it again. Do not long for its old structure or the false security you came to feel at times within it. Do not look for a new structure with barred windows and doors to keep you safe. Do not seek someone to tell you anew what to do with. Let me start that again. Do not seek someone to tell you anew what to do with who you are now that you are no longer a prisoner. Do not give keys to a new jailer. Read that again. Do not give keys to a new jailer and ask to be taken care of in exchange for your newfound freedom. Read one more. Instead, see the world anew and rejoice in it, just as you would have had you literally spent your life within a prison's walls. Breathe the sweet air of freedom. Be aware constantly of the sky above your head and desire no more ceilings to shield you from it. I will stop there.
Back to me. Beware of gifts offered in exchange for your newfound freedom. A hungry prisoner may soon come to feel that 3 meals a day provided in the prison were gifts indeed. So too are the gifts many of you have desired and still feel as if you need. If you have imprisoned yourself in order to earn a living by doing work that brings you no joy and allows you not to be who you are, then you are called to walk away. If you are tempted by a relationship in which you cannot be fully yourself because of the security it will provide, you are but tempted by a false security and are called to turn away. If you are lured away from who you are by a drive to succeed, if you fear doing what you want to do because you might fail, if you follow another's path and seek not your own, then you have imprisoned yourself for the 3 meals a day of the old way. What has this to do with structure and parameters? Everything. You cannot deny the old and remain in the prison of the old. You have asked, and because you have asked, I am telling you that the permission you seek must come from your own heart and from your commitment to the covenant of the new. Once again, I remind you that there is no authority to whom you can turn. But in place of that outside authority, I give you your own authority, an authority you must claim in order for it to be your own. An authority you must claim before your externally structured life can become an internally structured life. Let this acceptance of your own internal authority be your first act of acceptance rather than learning. Turn to this new pattern and to the thought system of giving and receiving as one. Let the authority of the new be given and received. Become the author of your own life. Live it as you feel called to live it. We cannot build the new upon prison walls of old. Whatever imprisons you must now be left behind. Anthea?
Oh, right. Those of you now protesting, having heard what you have so longed to hear, protest no more. You cannot keep your prison and have the new life that you long to have. You may have to examine just what it is that imprisons you. You may find that it is attitude more so than circumstance, or you may feel as if the walls that imprison you are so sturdy and so long barred that they may as well be prison walls. You may even be a prisoner in truth and wonder how, save a grand escape, you can proceed. But I tell you truthfully, your release is at hand, and it will come from your own authority and no place else. It is up to you to accept that your release is possible, to desire it without fear, to call it into being. Do you not see that you must begin with yourself? That if you are unwilling to claim your freedom, it will not claim you. What is one or in union with all draws from the well of divine design. You need not turn to old patterns or systems to accomplish your release. You can only turn to what is left now that the patterns and systems of learning are no longer. Finish.
Cynthia, Kath?
You accept that what has been given is available. You accept and you receive. You realize that the first order of creation of the new is restoration of the original order or original design. As you have been returned to yourself, now your life must be returned to where it fits within the divine design, to where it is a life of meaning and purpose. This return is the return of wholeness. This return is not selfish on your part, but magnanimous. It returns wholeness to you and wholeness to the divine design. It returns creation to what is. So, Cole, the biggest thing we can do is wake up, is it? That's the biggest thing in the world we can do. You're on mute.
Yes, I agree with you.
Is it? Yeah. Understand this cannot be fearful. This cannot fail. This will not bring suffering, but will end suffering. Your part is to invite it and accept it when it comes. State your willingness. Accept the coming of your release and prepare to leave your prison behind. Invite this simply by inviting what brings you joy. Invite yourself first to this new world, but leave not your brothers and sisters behind. Invite them too. For those who are imprisoned are one with you and need but your release to find their own. Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, I hear your protests and the reasons that you feel must prevent you from the acceptance I call you to. Yet, as you fully accept that your right to your inheritance, your right to be who you are, and your commitment to the covenant of the new are one and the same, these reasons will disappear. All the different reasons you would cite become what they are. One reason, the same reason. And you will see that what isn't one is neither the same nor different. You will see that there is one answer, an answer different for everyone, and yet the same for everyone. That answer is acceptance of yourself. That answer is acceptance of the new.
You guys happy to do another chapter?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Mhm.
I'm going to have to leave early, just letting you know.
All right, Alison, thank you.
Not just yet, but soon.
Okay.
Okay, Kyle, it's up to you when you're ready.
Is it? Okay.
Just before we do, I just felt like an impulse to reread just a line from that second last paragraph.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we just chew on that for a moment? State your willingness, accept the coming of your release, and prepare to leave your prison behind. Invite this simply by inviting what brings you joy.
Beautiful.
Invite yourself first to this new world, but leave not your brothers and sisters behind. Invite them too. For those who are imprisoned are one with you and need but your release to find their own.
So, what brings you joy?
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Become the author of your own life. Wow.
Yeah.
This analogy reminded me a lot of Shawshank Redemption, and getting stuck in systematic ways and leaving them behind. And it reminds me a lot of what I just went through in moving, and or sort of leaving behind the prison that I put myself in during COVID, the COVID lockdown, for the last 4 years or so. So, yeah, now I can write my own life again.
And he says you simply invite that by doing what brings you joy, and rather than focusing on what we don't want, it's more of a focus like how would I have it? What does bring you joy? But then also be about your father's business, right? Like get on with it.
Well, the things that gave me joy 5 years ago are either like not available to me or something like that, and so I'm choosing what I want to do going forward and trying not to express so much what it used to be like pre-COVID, like blaming COVID for
holding on to the old. So what's
thank you.
What's the new? Like if you start looking and describing your past, you're still in the old. So it's like fully let go, and it's like, what's the new? What is the new? So God, now help me. Show me what would make me truly happy. It's like it's a discovery. Could be the new, could be not new, something that you know of, and then you're gonna do that. But what about brand new? something we don't know yet, because that's what creation is. If something comes to your mind that wasn't there before at all.
Yeah.
But
This holy
if we are going on in our mind, regurgitating the old grievances or the playing out the scenarios of the old world. It's like, if you could have it your way, how would you have it? And I mean, really.
And you have to make sure that you're asking the right part of the mind, not that question can be answered by one of two parts of your mind, like the old part or the, yeah.
Yeah, well, it will bring you joy. Like, when you truly find what you desire, it will smile you. That's how you know you got the answer. If you kind of, in a gloom and just going like, oh, yeah, I think I'll just do this. It's not it. But the new will bring the light in you. It will smile you. Yeah.
It's kind of like I don't feel like I'm new because I keep looking for validation from the outside to confirm the old again.
Yeah. It has to be, in my own experience, this instant. This instant is totally new. But I don't have a relationship with this guy. So I need to be there in order for me to know this instant. It's always renewing. And I'm like, my God, it's always new, this instant. So I left the old, and I stayed there in this moment, this present moment, this instant, make a relationship with this guy. It's always new.
Tonight, driving home in the evening, I thought, wow, there seems to be a lot more light in the sky. I swear the sky is brighter than it used to be. There is more light.
It's interesting. There's a biblical concept, which I'm a bit hazy on the details, but it might have been every 75 years or something, called the Jubilee year, and in short, it was about releasing all debts and setting people free from their financial bonds, and I guess there's something in that about allowing people to start afresh, because otherwise they're going to be eternally locked in their in their cycle, in their prisons.
Well, we've got to see that those are all just in your mind, that it's just always you. There is no one else. Like, if you think there is someone out there who is doing so and so, where is that source of that idea? It's always in here. Comes a point where actually thinking begins to cease as we know it, because our whole thought system is based on projections and people and the world. To build a new world, you can't go and build it from the old. Yeah. So it just comes back. So what do you truly desire wholeheartedly, not from your mind, but from your heart? And now we go into this known. where the inspiration comes. And when inspiration comes, it will always smile you. It will always go like, oh, actually, and it's often very simple little thing. But the mind goes, all right, let me think what I can come up with. That's already a trap. That's the old prison. Because the heart does not think, does it? So, like, you know how I said this whole idea of like, you know how you parked in here and you're trying to find an answer in here. Well, get out of here and just go deeper. Like he says, go within. So get out of here, just even like, just energetically go out of the head and keep going until you kind of reach the area, let's say for a moment, just the area of the heart, even in your what appears to be as your body. Yeah. And suddenly there is no thoughts there, is there? Yes. That will just begin to smile you at some point because you're not preoccupied with past in your mind, right? Because if you preoccupy with the past, you see nothing as it is now. You're not in the now, you're in the past. So if the past did not exist and you could not like formulate words that you do, what would be there? Yeah. It comes a subtle little joy. It's not necessarily going to be like, wow. It's going to be like, And it's way more feeling thing than an idea. Something embraces within. Your heart begins to call to you. And you can't figure it out. There's no way the mind can figure this one out. There's nothing you can do in the old way. So something new has to be born. Yeah. And it's just the acceptance of, okay, let's see what's gonna be born. So we're in this place of wonder, like, let's see what comes.
Hey, Cole, is it okay? I was called to read something from chapter 9, The Prodigal Son, that was pretty revelational to me recently.
We just want to read a paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
It's
Are you okay with
just
that?
Just before like 9.40, like the last sentence before, so you get a little context. Okay.
To us.
Okay. You will have no hope for what lies beyond life, for you will have found no hope in life.
Mm-hmm.
Your quest for what is missing thus becomes the race you run against death. You seek it here, you seek it there, and scurry on to the next thing and the next.
Mm-hmm.
Each person runs this race alone, with hope only of victory for himself. You realize not that if you were to stop and take your brother's hand, the race course would become a valley full of lilies, and you would find yourself on the other side of the finish line, able at last to rest. I just found that like grabbing. I had never thought that that's when the lilies of the field, everything is taken care of. There is no lack. I have no lack, and I am beyond life, beyond the finish line.
Yes.
But somehow the thought of like the brotherhood, the unity, like the relationship was the power that did that. And that's really, at least for me, that's really, really new. Thank you.
Thanks for reading that, Annie. Do not worry what you will wear. Consider the lilies of the field. How much more will I clothe you? Or something to that effect. It's taken care of.
Yeah. And it's how we see the other, right? Like, it's very simple. You can either see person as wholeness or not. If you see your brother as somebody sitting in there, that's how you recognize yourself, just another person sitting in there. But see the person as Christ, huh? Pick anyone in a room and just go like, there he is, the one I've been looking for. To see Christ, you can only see them with your heart. And as you see them with your heart, you remember your own heart. You remember creation. To just pick a person and practice. Go like, hey, there is a Christ right there. Or am I just laying old projections on the person? Or am I seeing the new, the birth of Christ? And for me, without Mary, there is no birth of Christ. So unless we really deeply allow ourselves to feel the Christ in the other, not just projecting an image or, feel the Christ in the other. Feel the heart. Every living being has a heart. Can you see it? Can you feel it? That's forgiveness. That makes sense? But it has to happen. It can't be just imagined. It has to be deeply felt all the way deep. Course says it so beautifully. Jesus was a man who saw the face of Christ in all his brothers and sisters. And that's how he remembered God. It's all there. It's all already happened. It's all created. We just can't sometimes see it. If our mind is if we live in this little section in here, which is a separated mind. But as we include the heart and as we include this emotional intelligence, which is the way of Mary within us. Without Mary, there is no Jesus, right? Yeah. And Mary is that part of us that feels. And feeling realm is so undeveloped in this world that unless we really allow true feelings, not knee-jerk reactions, true feelings, which are quite slow. We need to slow down even to connect to that level of being. And then heart is born automatically. Heart just goes, there I am, hello. Then the mind will rush in to kill the child, right? Herod, the world structure, But Jesus said it, my kingdom is not of this world. So trying to fit it in here. Good luck, Chuck. All right, guys, shall we just do the true representation, or are we cooked for today?
I have to go. I have to go now.
All right.
Finish.
Thanks, Kath. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining me.
Bye, everyone.
You guys happy to read on, or shall we just leave it at that?
Leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We're starting to get more out of each chapter than before.
Yeah, the further we go, the more bigger it becomes. I know. We're translating at the moment into the Czech language this course of love, and the last few chapters are just hardest thing to translate. Like each chapter is like a whole book. It's like, wow, how do you shift these words into another language? It's like virtually going, Jesus, now help us. What would you have me say in here? You know? So it does get a little bit crunchy here. All right, darlings. Well, we'll see you next week then.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Did you have to get rid of a lot of stuff, Annie, when you moved?
I did. And, a couple thoughts on the way here, was, oh, I wish I'd brought this. And I have exactly what I need here. Exactly, what I really want. And it just feels so much cleaner and clearer.
Part of being released from the old, I guess.
Yeah, and this is a community. It's a senior community, so there's functions. I played bingo for the first time. There's a lot of things that I am doing every day almost still for this past month that are actually new to me.
Joyful.
Or some of them are sort of like the old stuff, but it's with a renewed, a totally different. It's like, hey, I could do this today or right now. It's really exciting and wonderful. I feel like I have been reborn.
Oh, nice.
On many levels, not just, the physical. So I'm so grateful.
Beautiful.
Thank
Speaking
you,
of
everybody.
getting rid of stuff, sorry, pardon me.
Well, I was gonna say only sort of, because it was 28 days from when I gave my 30-day notice till I got here, that a 16-year-old apartment with lots of things in it was dismantled. I think it was the abruptness of it that was actually helpful. Not, it was difficult at the time, but and whatever was left behind, some things of even sort of like worth were left behind, and that is what it is. So I move forward with what I have, and I'm just so, oh God, so grateful, because it's, my whole spirit feels very different. It feels like an older, younger me, but even better.
Nice.
Yes, some of those old things are an old identity.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I used to be playing sports, and actually yesterday on a walk, I actually pulled my calf muscle, which was torn one or two times doing those sports, and so I'm just being very gentle, and I guess I'm meant to slow down again. Like I might have been moving too fast for this change. That's kind of how I see it. It's not just about the calf. It's how it allows me to see things differently. So
I'm just really, really grateful. Enormously. Anyway. Thank you guys for all your support too.
Well, I just had a question about getting rid of stuff, and it's interesting to hear your experience of putting a date in the calendar and then stuff just moves from there. And then the clock's ticking. Does anyone know what this is? I found this. I'm trying to get rid of some stuff.
The old-fashioned clock?
How does it work?
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's it.
That's funny.
Wow.
What else could you do? What else can
I'm
you
not really that serious about anything, but
How about
it
freezing?
is a bit of a relic.
Yeah.
My partner's a psychologist and says it stops her looking at her phone during sessions, so that makes sense to me.
That's funny.
All right, guys. We'll pitch you later.
All right.
Guys,
Okay.
be
Thanks,
released.
Paul.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bless.
Bye.